Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. I'm Annette McCoy, and with me today is Marney Perna.
Good morning.
And we have, I think, a fabulous show. We normally have a fabulous show together. I really like the topic today, letting go and trusting it works. I don't know about you, Marney, but I can certainly put my hand up and say, yes, it works.
Absolutely. Yep.
So wherever you are, thank you for joining us, no matter whether it's live now or down the track. That's the beauty of these shows. I don't know about you, Marney, and I'm using that again. I'm aware of my language this morning. I have friends who say, I forget to tune in. Well, that's the beauty of Angel Heart Radio. You can watch us anytime you like because there's such a store of videos via Angel Heart Radio Facebook page. So go and give yourself a treat.
Yeah. And when you eventually do log in, it's exactly perfect for what you're dealing with at that time. You'll end up watching a show that is just spot on to what you're requiring.
Thank you for that reminder, Marnie, because that is so true. Even when people join in live, it's incredible how they've just flicked through or they've found that they're with us at this particular time, and it's always perfect. They'll say, I was meant to hear that today, or whatever it might be. So yes, do yourself a favor by coming over and exploring all of the videos that happen to be there, because you'll find something that is perfect for that moment in what you're looking for.
It's an enormous library of different topics as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, because it's not just you and I, Marnie. There's Janet, who does astrology, and of course you do kinesiology. You love talking to people's arms and bodies. And then we have Rosemary, who has such a wealth of information, and then Elaine Ann, who is a numerologist. So, and they're just my shows. Of course, you have Anaya's shows, and so it goes on. Fun. I'd like to welcome Debbie Tibbets-Tumor and Louise. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies.
Yeah, Louise is from Brisbane.
Lovely. Hi, Louise. That's my city.
Yes, where it's lovely and warm at the moment.
Yep.
All right. So trusting, letting go. That's the big deal. I think that's the tricky part for me at times, Marnie. And sometimes the more we want something, the more we hold on to it. However, I've learned over time, if I'm able to let it go, magic happens.
They often say not to be attached to the emotional outcome. And I know that's easier said than done at times, but if you can let go the emotional connection to the outcome and trust, it often works in your favor.
Exactly. And I can name so many times when that has been the case. There'll be a change of plans, and rather than going, oh no, I'm not doing that today, I now go, I wonder what else is coming in. And it's incredible, because it's something else comes in for me and for the person who had to change their plans.
I had a perfect case yesterday. I had a client booked in, and she's desperate to come and wanting to come, and she had to ring at the last minute, say, I'm just not able to drive. But then I also had another client sitting in the wings who I couldn't accommodate this week, and I was able to ring her and say, hey, guess what? Had a sudden vacancy. What's your afternoon like? And so she was able to come. So, it does allow other things and other opportunities. It's disappointing. It's disappointing when you've been looking forward to something and it doesn't come to fruition at that time. But you have to trust that there's a reason for it. And it's not to say you just don't get up and decide not to do something. It's when things change, as you say. You've planned for something, you're looking forward to it, and something changes. You really have to adapt, but you have to let go the negative emotions that you feel about the postponement or the cancellation of what happened.
I mean, being really out there about it, we hear of people who miss a plane or for some reason don't get on a plane, and something tragic happens to the plane, and they're going, oh, phew. If it's when we are where we're meant to be rather than where we think we should be.
Yeah. Yeah, the universe works in mysterious ways. And I was only saying recently that there's 3 kinds of businesses in this world. There's my business, your business, and universal business. You have some control over your own business. You can make decisions and do things. You can only influence another person's business. And with environmental or universal business, you just have to go with the flow and be proactive in what you do in relation to whatever's going on with that universal business. So, floods, we're talking about extremes, but like floods, you can't just say, oh, it's not happening. You've got to go, okay, this is happening. What steps do I need to take?
Sure.
But you can't stop a flood, really. It's a momentous thing. So there's a lot of business that's universal business that's not within your immediate control. So an example of that I often use is for brides. There is no point whatsoever a bride putting all her effort and energy into the thought of what if it rains. Okay, because that creates a lot of emotional trauma. It ends up being very disturbing, and it takes over the focus of the whole thing. What the bride is best doing is that going, okay, if it rains, what have I got in place, or what plans can I take to make sure the event's not overly affected by the rain? And that way her brain can turn off and stop chattering at her saying, oh, but what if it rains? You can say, okay, if it rains, I've got umbrellas, I've got an extra tent or something like that. So make plans for the contingency, but let go the worry.
Right, yes, because I've also learnt the more we worry, if that's the thought that's in our mind, guess what? That's what's going to come. So when
we can manifest it.
That's exactly right. Yes, and we manifest what our thoughts are. So it's really important that we're aware of our thoughts. If I'm going to go to bed every night and be concerned about what's happening tomorrow, well, they're the kinds of things that are coming in, rather than, great, tomorrow I've got the opportunity to act on boom, 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 whatever it might be.
Yeah. So letting go sits in the large intestine meridian as well. So it's one of the meridians. There's a large intestine and what's its partner? Lungs, I think. Lungs. Oh my God, fancy not knowing that. Yes, lungs. It's in the mental element of Chinese philosophy. But letting go is you hang on to stuff so often your digestive system is a bit sluggish because you're not letting go the emotional things that are happening in your life. Your emotions have a huge impact on your health and wellness.
Indeed.
Not always the physical, but it becomes physical because you things happen with your actual physical body from an emotional trauma.
Yes, and that's one way that we can think, like if constipation can be where we're holding on to stuff rather than
we're stuck.
Letting go. Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes you can step back and just say, why am I stuck in life at the moment? Or what is causing me to feel blocked? Sometimes use the terminology of the organ as a question to self. And it doesn't mean you don't have to be highly attuned. You just need to. So imagine where you're standing is that process of, oh my God, this is happening and that. So imagine that's a circle. So if you step out of that circle and look in and ask yourself the same question, you often can get a better answer. Because when you're in that circle, I call it the stress circle. So when you're sitting or standing in the stress circle, you're comfortable in that circle, you'll actually move your feet till you're in the right position to stress. And then you start worrying about something. Whereas if you step out of that position, it's kind of like you're looking into a friend, and a friend is in that spot and not you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually think a little bit more clearly, or you can come up with solutions.
Yes, isn't it? I find it so easy to see somebody else's situation
Yeah.
and not.
Sometimes we're too close.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas my own, well, don't want to go there.
Yeah. And look, we're all the same. It's no different for anybody. But something else that I often share with people as well is we wear hats. So we have an identity. And if you can imagine, each of those identities has a hat, like your mum hat and your sister hat and your daughter hat, your work hat, your social hat. Imagine you've got little hats for all the different positions that you have in life. So if you're struggling or you're being challenged with a certain hat on, try changing hats and seeing whether a different perspective helps you to think more clearly.
That's a good one. I can remember years ago, somebody, I'm not sure the person, but there were the 7 hats and they were different colours, and
okay. I
they
haven't seen that one. Yeah.
encouraged us to put on a particular, depending on how we were looking at the situation, put a different coloured hat on, and therefore looking from that point of view.
Yeah. What it does, it makes you stop and pause and rethink from a different angle, sort of thing.
Right. I liked your idea, Marnie, for us to see ourselves as our best friend or a friend. What would we say to that friend? Because we quite often, yes, seeing somebody else's situation is easy. So to be able to sit and sometimes also to talk it through. If I talk a situation through with somebody else, quite often I'll come up with my own solution simply by listening to what I have to say. So, being prepared to use a sounding board.
Absolutely. And you don't always have to, with a friend, you don't always have to come up with a solution. You just have to be there sometimes. I'm just plugging my computer into power because it's giving me a little message about low battery.
All right. Okay. What we can do, it's fabulous. I do know recently a friend actually thanked me for being the listener. She just simply had to unload. And how wonderful that we can be there. And at times it's really cool too, because it can go in, because it's not my stuff, it can go in one ear and out the other. So it's not as though I'm going to take it on board. However, I've allowed this person, whoever it might be, to unload, get it off their chest.
Exactly. And they don't always want you to know the answer. They just need, because they don't always want people telling them what to do. They just need to be able to vent freely and let go their emotional impact. So now a neat way I use with clients is a paper bag release. If you're really stuck with something, you can put all your stuckness, whatever ingredients come into that particular situation in your life, put it into a paper bag. So the disclaimer with this one is do this sitting down or laying down. Don't do this standing up, because you are breathing in and out of a paper bag. All right. So just get a common everyday garden paper bag. Don't make the paper bag the challenge. All right. If you've got children at school, you may have tuck shop bags, or else you've been to a newsagent and they still put a card in a bag. It doesn't matter what the bag is. Just get a paper bag. Think about what is causing you to feel blocked. What is your pressing need at the moment with regards to how you're feeling, what you can't let go. Right now, you can either think it, state it, or write it on the paper bag. Now, sometimes what I'll also do is I might write how I'm feeling, like some of the emotions that come into it. So imagine it's a family dispute of some kind. How does that make you impacting, or what emotions show through that is impacting you with regards to this particular family challenge? And just write the words. Don't overthink it. Like, allow your subconscious to let the emotions out and put it all on the paper bag. All right, and then put your pen away and let that go. Then take your paper bag, have it over your nose and your mouth, and you're breathing in and out of this paper bag. Now, I would suggest 5 is probably enough breaths in and breaths out. But what I like to see my clients do, I like to see the paper bag suck in and then puff out again. So you're actually seeing them do this work. When you've done the last breath, hang on to it really tight up here so the air doesn't let go. And just go, thank you for that. And then just put it in the air and get your other hand and smash it. And you'll get this loud explosion, and it's such a relief. And you go, oh, that was awesome. And then what you do is scrunch the paper bag up and throw it on the floor. I have so many people that just can't throw this paper bag. If they can't throw the paper bag away, imagine the challenge they're having letting the emotions go. So you just say to people, you just say to yourself even, it's okay, I'll pick it up later. So what you're doing for now is you're just abandoning all the grief that blockage is causing you, and just toss the bag to one side. Just throw it in the air, throw it somewhere, and then give thanks. All right. Now, what you'll find is suddenly you've cleared a space from those emotions, which then allows you to have more clarity in what you need to do to address them. Doesn't mean the situation will fully change. What it means is your response to the situation changes.
Yes. Fabulous idea. Now, I get the sense that that's in your book. That's one of the strategies.
Possibly it might be in my book. I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but I call it the paper bag release. So,
right.
So if it is in my book, that's where you'll find it.
Otherwise, it's here on video.
It is, and I do it as a PDF. So if anyone needs it, they can contact me, and I'll share it with them. So, yeah. But it's quite simple. It's something you can teach children. You can do a similar thing with a balloon. A lot of people are scared of bursting a balloon. I find the paper bag works a lot better. Sometimes you don't hit it hard enough. So it's like, do you remember in the old days if you had a loose tooth, and if you were very brave, you'd tie a string to your tooth and one around the door handle, and you'd be bravely sitting there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you'd shut the door, but before it shut, you'd catch it so it didn't hurt. Did you ever do that?
Yes, once. Yeah. And I decided never again.
Never again. Well, sometimes bursting the paper bag is a bit like that. You mean to do it. You just can't hit it, or you mishit it or something. All I do with that is I just say, it's okay. Just put one more pop of air into it and then have another go. It just means that for whatever reason, you're either a little bit cautious about the sound of the bursting paper bag, or have you put enough in it so you're overthinking it. Just burst the bag.
Right.
And it's such an empowering sound when it cracks. It just it goes like that. It's brilliant.
Simple. Now, I've put your internet as your web page on the chat for people.
Oh, thank you.
.com. Sorry,
yes.
I had it and it said that something went wrong. I will redo it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not quite sure what's happening here, but for people, KINIQUE.com will find Marney.
It will, and they'll find my book that you mentioned, which I'll
yes,
get one off the list here. So my Creating Calm Amid Chaos, which is my self-help tools for de-stressing. So wonderful book. I'm selling lots of. All of a sudden, the universe has opened the conduit to my book. So it's really good. I'm getting quite a few inquiries for it, which is lovely. I love that. So
yes,
I have a range of sprays that go with it. So
because you have the hard copy, you also have an audio, and also I believe online
an ebook as well. Yeah. I have attempted to cover all avenues.
Yes. And you just mentioned the essences, and I know you delight in creating and passing on your essences. Now, you made a new one just recently, I think.
I've made a couple just recently. I've done soul imprints, which is when you lose a fur baby or a pet, or someone is going through grief that they haven't let go, because I've actually had a few people contact me for the grief of a family member, not just a pet. So I did initially make it as soul imprints, and what it is, it's the connection to your loved one. Yeah, it just allows you to connect. It's got a couple of ingredients that are the bookends of life. So they're the birth and the death side of life. So, and it gathers the souls. So it just helps you to be a little bit more at peace with what's gone on. And then I've got Manifest Your Dreams, which was one that I created for vision board workshops when I do those, to help people to tap into their dreams rather than just create the board and then not take any action. This one actually ignites the energy of your dreams and manifesting. So
excellent.
Yeah, I thought for this show it was Angel Intuitive is the one that I thought was useful for this show, which is again about trusting.
Yes, because that's the deal. We can have all of our wonderful dreams and ideas. The thing is, if we hold on to them, the universe is unable to act on them. We have to be able to let them go and trust that in universal time, they will happen. That's the next bit. Just because I want something next week doesn't mean that that's when it's going to happen.
I think if you need to be specific about an outcome, you need to be specific about what you're asking for. Okay, is one way of looking at it. Otherwise, it is in universal time, which can take sometimes at times. But I mean, that's an awareness as well. And they often say to hand your dreams and your innermost secrets over to the angels to help you manifest them. Because if you keep it secret, if you keep it hidden and locked up, how does the universe know what to do? And that's the beauty, I believe, of vision boards and that kind of thing. It's taking from your subconscious awareness and putting it on a visual board, a practical board, some of your innermost secrets and desires. And sometimes you haven't been aware of them until you see a picture and you go, oh, that's nice. Having no idea as to why you thought it was nice, apart from the fact it was a nice picture. And then suddenly you look at it more closely and you go, you know what? That would be so cool. So they're the things you put on your vision boards. It's more difficult as you've been doing them for many years because you've got used to the concept, but you still need to be open to just putting a random thing on your vision board because you just don't know why the guides are telling you to. I had one last year of a baby in a skunk suit. And I went, really? But it was such a cute baby. It was this little round face and they had this skunk or possum. It was just in a funny suit. And I kept going back to it. And I went, I've got to have it. So I put it on there. And then I think later in the morning, I found words that said, remember to be playful again. And I went, oh, that's perfect. Because it was a reminder of the playfulness of life, not to get caught up in the seriousness of everything. Life's serious enough. So we have to find outlets. We have to find pause buttons that allow us to recover and regroup so that and let our fun or our inner child back in.
Yes. And be able to laugh. I'm working with a group of women here in the village. We're setting up the market later in the year. When we get together, we have so much fun. And even yesterday, one of the girls had put a message on and she realised that she'd misspelt the word.
Yeah.
She had. And yet, interestingly, I'd read it as it was meant to be read, which I had discovered. I was told years ago that can happen. It's interesting how we can read something that might even be googly-gook, but we can read the words because we comprehend what's being said, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I made a comment back that, I'd read it that way, but I had misspelt her name. And so she said all she saw was mule, and she thought that I was calling her mule. So, and of course, there were emojis being used and the whole bit.
Yeah.
So I thought, not only are we when we're together do we laugh, but here we are laughing. We're all in different places yesterday in sharing this laugh through social media. So it's wonderful. We lift each other's spirits when we can bring laughter and joy to a situation.
One of the words I often write wrongly, because I'm a two-fingered typist, so I get a bit dyslexic on the keyboard, and I'll use the word use, but my fingers type sue. And in the context of a statement, I'm going to use that information. I'm going to sue that information. It makes it a little bit different. So, yeah, you sometimes have to be careful what you say.
Yes.
Now, something I was going to mention or share with the audience too was the word trust or distrust, which is the negative emotion that upsets us sometimes. It comes out of governing meridian. Now, governing meridian is the meridian that looks after the spine. Okay, I refer to it, and this is a Marneyism, it's not a formal thing. I refer to governing and central as the parent meridians. So one is the spine and one is the brain. So central meridian looks after the brain, governing meridian looks after the spine. If you have got the spine and the brain not talking to each other, life is more difficult. Right? So the word distrust comes into the spine. Now, if you think of the spine as a practical element of your body, it's your support system. So if you're not feeling supported or you're distrusting situations, it will actually affect the flow of information going to your brain, because all the information feeds up through your brain and gets up through the spine and gets to the brain.
Wow. Okay.
Just on a metaphysical, physical kind of element there. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Why not?
Yeah.
Useful piece of information.
So where is that distrust coming from? So maybe it might be a situation that there's something in the information that you're distrusting, or there's a group of people and there might be one in there that's causing you to feel this little bit of a cautiousness. So honor those little feelings that you get, because there's a reason for it. But if you can step back from the immediate situation and think about it, you'll often come up with why that shows up, or it makes you be more mindful.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's something you can take from many experiences, is rather than be fearful, be mindful. Being mindful allows you to think. Being fearful, you respond and you react from your reptilian brain.
Well, I think too, Marnie, to be aware when we are fearful.
Yeah.
Rather than, again, be aware of our feelings, be aware of our emotions.
Yeah.
And then it can be a little easier to deal with the situation when we know how we're responding to it. And possibly why. Why am I feeling fearful? What is it that...
But you can't ask that question if you're sitting in the fear. You need to move a little bit. You need to be able to look in again and say, why am I fearful? Now, obviously, if you're in a dark alley and you're really, really feeling danger, act on that. You don't wait for that one. You don't sit there and think about it. You know, if you feel there's an immediate danger, you act. And you run or you move or you become very aware of your circumstances, right? So these things aren't, life situations, life and death situations. You don't ponder on things. You make those decisions very quickly, right? And that's common sense has got to come through here. But if you have the opportunity and it's not in a dangerous situation, but your body feels like it's in danger for whatever reason, try and work out why.
Good point.
I was away on holidays for 6 days last week, and while we were there, I was up in McCoy with relations, and while we were there, a really old show came on, and I don't know if you remember My Favorite Martian.
Yes.
I know, and his little antennas popped up. So if you're needing to get information, just imagine your antennas are popping up and trying to assimilate more information so that you're more informed about what you're feeling about. So, gosh, it was a blast from the past. I mean, I could even sing the ditty when it came on. Like the music, you knew the music was. It was so funny.
It's interesting, isn't it, what's left? Because I started singing, I don't know whether you remember Andy Pandy on the ABC, and I started singing that yesterday, you know, goodbye, the Toodaloo part of the after the show. Yes. And then the Tarak show, Toodaloo, goodbye for you. We really have to go.
I mean, our younger viewers won't have a clue what we're talking about.
No, that's exactly
Those of our
right.
generation will.
I'm always fascinated with all of that, what is stored in my brain after, like songs that I haven't sung for years and years and years, and yet they're there. Whereas the songs that are around today, no, I haven't got a clue.
No, me neither. No, and yet you'll hear an old, like one that you learnt in your youth, and the words just come back straight away. And yet, if you'd have been asked to sing it without the song coming through, you wouldn't remember. Yeah, it's amazing too in with our brains, the connection of music to our functionality. So people that have had a stroke who can't walk can suddenly dance when there's a certain music on, because it just goes to a different center of the brain. Right. It's not just the movement brain, it's the emotional center of memory and happiness kind of thing. So it's like, I've even heard of people who can't speak clearly but can sing a song very easily.
That was the one I was going to mention, exactly, because there have been choirs built around stroke victims, and you're right, they find it very difficult to have a conversation, and yet they can sing brilliantly. Choirs are amazing. Yeah,
so it's like stuttering. There's a number of people who stutter very badly, and but they can sing and they don't stutter at all in their singing. So which makes them, not everyone then believes that their stuttering is an actual impediment, you know, because, well, how come you don't stutter when you sing? But it just shows the enormous potential of the brain and its ability to counteract certain things.
Yes. And again, to be aware, I have a gorgeous grandchild who can stutter, and I know it's when he's apprehensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
so have our ladies on the chat got any questions to ask about where they're feeling stuck or trusting?
Yes, no, there's nothing thus far.
Nothing,
you never know. Up. We might have other people who are tuning in and have a question far away or a comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you notice? How do you know whether you're uptight? Do you fiddle with bite your nails?
What habit do you use that shows you that you're stressing about something in particular? But there's a very old saying, isn't there, that a dog with a bone, if he chews on the bone or looks for the bone too much, he won't find it. Chewing that like a dog on a bone. I don't know. It's something like that anyhow. It just means that don't overdo something. Like sometimes you do have to put the things in place, but let it go. Walk away. Sever the emotional connection to the outcome.
Well, how often, if I know at times when my children were younger, and if there was a disagreement, rather than keep continuing to go at each other and escalating the situation, it's much easier to walk away and say, I'll discuss this later or whatever. Just let it go for a while. And then when both calmer, being able to speak more calmly about...
Less emotionally,
thank you, of course.
I remember as a child we were told to count to 10 before we hit someone, like little spats in the family. And you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you'd still want to hit. But as Mum said, it was like a pause. Counting to 10 gave you something else to think about. And then if you still needed to release your emotions after that, you did it. So about letting go, just remember storing too much can really cause something to explode as well. So it'll just build up and build up and build up. So you haven't had to release it all. So there's, sometimes we need to release our expressions. And if you can do that in a friendly way, or a nice way for yourself, that's where that paper bag or the balloon thing comes out. And another thing I've seen people use is a pillow. So scream their, someone who's lost someone might just want to scream, you know, and socially we're not meant to go around screaming all the time, you know, especially hysterically. So use a pillow. So scream into the pillow. So you're still letting it go. You're still releasing it, but you're muffling it just so that you're comfortable in your situation. But it will definitely release the energy out of the body.
It's also, Marnie, it's interesting for us to acknowledge where we might be at a particular time. Like, it's really easy to say, oh, I'm happy or I'm delighted with life. And quite often, if we're not feeling delighted with life, we choose to not go there rather than going, well, okay, what is concerning me and what can I do about it?
Yeah. And then finding out what, like, some things aren't worth hanging on to. So, you know, there's an expression you can use that I release what no longer serves my highest good. So something that you hung on to as a younger person or previously, you don't need now. So let it go. Because what it's doing is it's impacting, it's hindering you moving forward. It doesn't mean you haven't been through stuff. You have. But you don't need to have the same response. You need to say, okay, well, from that experience, now I've got more tools in my toolbox to cope if something like that shows up again.
Now, I'm reminded about your Henry, the stress bucket.
Stress bucket, yeah. Yes. So we have this analogy of a set of scales. So on one side, you've got your stress bucket, and on the other side, you've got your life energy. So if your stress is higher than your life energy, it's not as easy to cope. What you need is your life energy, and your life energy comes from your heart region. You get up and go. It's your enthusiasm. It's your immune response. So you need that to be at as big a capacity as you can to cope with all of life's stressors. And they can come from many sources. Some are hidden, some are not. So again, it's that awareness. It's about how to identify what is actually affecting me. And when you identify it, you can actually start to make decisions to do things about things. And some things you can't do anything about. You just have to let it sit. Go, okay, well, this is what's happening. I'll just put that off to one side so I can focus on something else.
I know, well, at the moment, I was looking at a couple of trips for later in the year and next year. And one of my indicators, if you like, is the opportunity of somebody else going, yeah, I'll do that with you. And I realise that, well, if I'm meant to be doing a trip that's coming up, the right situation will present. And so rather than, oh, I'd really like to go there, how's it going to happen? It's like, well, if that's the timing and I'm meant to go then, it will work out that way. And being able to put it aside and watching how it works out. Or, you know, I'm on a timeline now before I go away, and it was like, oh, I'd really love to see a grand niece that has appeared in the last couple of months, and I haven't been able to get there yet. And yet I know that if something will happen in the next week that will be suitable for my timeline and also for the parents.
Where are you off to this time?
Oh, I'm off to the UK and a cruise to Norway and Iceland. So I'm very, very fortunate because I will be in London for all the pomp and ceremony. So I'm a bit excited about that.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's a classic situation of, I knew I would be in England, but I wasn't so sure that I would be in London.
Yeah.
However, my friend,
you'll get to taste the quiche. It's causing all the controversy.
Well, I just love it all. And so to be there at such an exciting time, I certainly don't, I'll be somewhere. I cannot guarantee that I'm going to be lining up per se, because people are already getting excited and
they are. Yeah, they're doing a lot of trial things. I know my daughter was saying that they're practicing all their marching and everything in the streets.
Yes, so it is fascinating.
Absolutely.
Now, Ingrid, has joined
Hello,
us.
Ingrid.
And she's saying, classic example of what we said at the start of the show, I so need this, having trouble trusting humans.
Yeah, you find out why that is, Ingrid. So is there a reason for it? And what will happen is someone will have a similar either eyebrow or similar idea or ideal. So you need to find your tribe. When you find your tribe, you'll start to trust again. Because honestly, distrust is affecting your body's ability to function properly, because it goes up the spine and you're getting some messages, they're just being blocked. So you need to find your tribe of people who have similar ideals and goals and notions, and then start to trust. Does that help at all?
We'll wait and
Yeah.
wait. It is interesting to note, Marnie, that our friendship circles can change over time. And I do believe people are in our lives for a reason and for a season. And where we might think, oh my goodness, I'm going to be with this person for the next 50 years, and it might only be 5 years or 5 minutes. People certainly come in for a reason, and it might simply be to pass on information. I've got situations in my life where I can see, yes, a person came in as a messenger, gave the message, and then for whatever reason,
gone,
flip it out.
Yeah. So when the spine's affected, so governing's affected, we often get caught up in our jaw. It makes it harder to speak easily, or you're chewing on your decisions, or you're chewing on what's going on. So sometimes your TMJ is quite sore. So just rub your hands together and just comfort your face like that. Just put both hands on either side of the TMJ, and it just is giving a bit of love to the governing meridian.
Nice. Now, Ingrid has given us feedback. Thank you, Ingrid. Ingrid says, thank you. I do have good friends. Just moved and have to find my tribe. New community of friends.
Yeah. And look, if you put that out there, if you then become open to suddenly mixing with people again, they'll turn up. You'll see an invitation somewhere, or something will happen, or you'll find an interest. That's what I know. You're the same, Annette. You get yourself interested in social situations where you can make a difference. One person can make a difference just by smiling to another person. It doesn't have to be, catastrophic or, huge outlays or anything. So sometimes we make a difference by being kind. And I think too, you said you distrust humans. There is a lot of human angst at the moment, and a lot of chaotic kind of energy around in the human energy field at the moment. But if you look for it, you'll find the kindness in there as well. So it's about looking for the kindness, stories about little people being kind for whatever reason, and focus on that rather than all the negative media and stuff, because it's overwhelming.
There are so many wonderful groups out there too, like Probus and the community groups. And by going along, yes, we will find new friends. It might be simply an avenue to go to in the short term, or you might be drawn to that group. I know people speak very highly of these social groups because they provide outings and options. So we might find one close friend, we might find a group, and
sometimes you find people of similar ideas and ideals and morals, and they're the ones you mix with. But I do know that negativity, it's just rife in social, not social media so much, but it's in there as well. But just your newspapers and your newses and things like that. I know my mum, when she was first ill, she couldn't read a paper anymore. She just found the physical effort of reading a paper overwhelming, and plus all the negativity. So she started reading the news online, and she could just read the headlines. And if the story interested her, she could then read the story, but she wasn't bombarded by the whole information. So you do need to select where you're getting your information from.
And also being aware of conversation as well. And sometimes I am drawn to either change the subject or simply walk away if I'm finding that a conversation is
Just deflating
negative.
you.
Well, yes, not my cup of tea. Fine.
Yeah.
Remove myself.
Go and get a different brand. Yeah.
And the same with social media. I mean, I love the fact that there's so much information out there. However, sometimes it can be in a negative way.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no, I don't need to hear this. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, even nowadays you're scared to put on there that you've lost your pet because you get all the warriors that say, "Oh, don't you know they should be outside?" Well, you think, well, yeah, I do know that, but it got out the door. You know, it's okay to be helpful and but you don't need to be lectured about situations. You need to sometimes be able to ask a question without being bombarded with everyone that knows everything. So
right. Yeah.
So yeah. Just be aware.
Oh, fun.
Absolutely.
Marnie, how about we mention your website again and how you can support people? Because, of course, people don't have to be living in Brisbane to be able to avail themselves of your services.
No. They can find me online. I like this. I can talk to you online. And so my website is Kinique. So it's www.kinique, Kinique. I specialise in stress management using kinesiology and all my guides and angels and all my fun things. But I'm also got a Facebook page, Kinique Kinesiology, or my personal one. My personal one, people have to know me to request friendship. So that's a little bit less easy, but certainly my business page is there. And they can download. I'm starting to write newsletters, Annette. Oh my God.
Oh, great.
So it's taken me 18 months to get started. So, but once you do it, you simply, I'll keep going with this. So it's I'm attempting to write one a month. So that's my plan for this year, is to attempt one newsletter a month. And if I can throw another one in the mix, I will. But people can sign up for my infrequent newsletters. So yeah, just to touch base with people.
Well, here we go. Ingrid saying, oh, wow. I wrote approve quotes and I read oracle cards.
Yeah.
Yes, you sound wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I wrote positive quotes. Maybe that's what it means.
Okay, yep. That's perfect. And if you wrote them, have you printed them off and put them around your house to help you engage back into trust and positivity again?
Do you know, Marnie, on one of my visits to the UK, I met a woman who had the positive cards all around, up on mirrors and walls and everywhere. So no matter where you walked, there were these positive sayings.
Statements,
they were colourful, and I find that when that's something like that, I might see them all the time, but I'm drawn to one in particular that will have a message for that particular time. No, she hasn't, but I can. There's that word.
I would be inclined to do that if you're sitting in the distrust of humans. Tap back into your angel energy and start trusting their angels and the messages they're giving you. And they will guide you back to being trustful, because it's that old thing, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So yes, there's some things that weren't trustworthy, and let them go, but be mindful about them. So they're going to be stored in your brain anyhow. So if it shows up again, you're going to know about it. But there's other things that you can trust. Trust the love of a dog. Don't trust a cat. They'll just wake you up in the morning. They're not quite as loyal. They're a little bit aloof, but your pets, your dogs are very trustworthy, and they'll just sit and wait for you. And then don't get caught up into but what do humans do to dogs? Just get caught up in what can a dog do for you.
Now, Ingrid's saying that if you look at my Facebook, you can read them. So you are putting them out there, Ingrid. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm,
So just print a couple special ones off, Ingrid, and put one on your front of your fridge and maybe one in your bathroom on your mirror. Because when you're in your bathroom, especially if you're having a shower, if you can get one laminated so it's not doesn't get watered or wet, put one in your shower recess. Because when you're having a shower, it's that old thing of you get in the spot. So you'll just move until you're in the right spot. You know what you're doing, so your mind just starts to wander. So if it starts to wander on things that are causing you grief and uncertainty, you're in a conduit of water. It's going to keep going. So you need something in your shower recess that looking at it makes you pause and go, even if it's a grateful saying, or move your feet, or change the weight, instead of starting with your head and going to your toes, go from your toes up to your head, because it makes your brain think, oh, I've got to do this now, instead of just automatically doing it. But water is a really, really big conduit. And if we find ourselves in water thinking negative thoughts, they will keep flowing. You need to stop it. And you do that by pausing somehow and looking at something positive.
Yes. I've heard people say, I know, gorgeous Agnes Vivarelli, who has been on my show in the past, she suggests standing under the shower and just letting the water run and feel yourself releasing whatever it is. And Rosemary Butterworth has, I think, another strategy which is fabulous. You have yourself under the shower, and as the water's running over your body, feel as though it's love coming into your body.
But so often we get in the shower and our thoughts start to wander. So that's showering with intention, right? So if you haven't got that intention going there, you need somehow to have a pause button. So what is your pause button? So that when you find yourself becoming caught up in that negativity or that distrust, you can stop it. You can go, hey, stop, and just have something, even if it's a different shampoo or a different soap, one that makes you unwrap it while you're thinking. So you've got to concentrate on something else. Because we go into that automatic pilot mode.
Well, Ingrid's saying water is my calming space, especially the beach. That brings up another aspect, doesn't it? Oh, I love, especially an empty beach. If I'm the only one at the beach, I love it.
Yeah.
My own special space.
It's a universal grid of abundance, the ocean. It just keeps coming through. And Ingrid, I hope you find special messages when you're there as well.
Yeah, there's just something about the beach. I had my 5-year-old grandson with me yesterday, and we went to Werribee Zoo, the open plain zoo. And then on the way home, we stopped to feed the seagulls. And it was such I absolutely love feeding the seagulls. And they were circling over our heads, and we were throwing up these bits of chips so that they could get them. And then, of course, Riker, being Riker, he is such a gorgeous, energetic little boy. There was a whole lot of seaweed along the edge, and he was picking up big bunches of it and throwing it into the water. And yes, of course, he had to work his way into the water.
Of course, yes. Well, why not? That's all the fun of being a child.
Oh, dear. And I always wonder and give thanks. And if my grandchildren are, I don't know, they splashed me at one stage, I think, aren't we so fortunate to have children who are able to do that?
Yeah.
Because there are parents and grandparents with such challenges before them, in hospitals with their children, etc., etc. And I think, wow, okay, we're very fortunate to have exuberant, energetic children who are able to run and play in the sand, etc.,
and be excited about it. Yeah, no, it's a blessing. And they help us tap into our inner child as well, which we do forget sometimes when we're in the midst of adult stuff.
That's right. It is. We're very fortunate to be able to play with grandchildren.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of life's blessings, because there's many times where you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, audience, I hope that you can look at your blessings. Look at what you have. You know, so often we can tend to go down what we don't, the road of what we don't have. No. Let's concentrate on what we have and those wonderful blessings. And
so
remember,
I was just sort of reminded too that you can use feng shui to release blockages as well. Like, there's a lot of things you can do in the feng shui kind of concept as well. So some people that are blocked, they might be blocked in their wealth corner. So you might be letting your wealth go down your toilet. So you can, they reckon it's not as easy. It depends on your toilet. You used to be able to tie a red ribbon around your toilet with a pan sort of thing, but some of them are really big round shapes. So you could put a red bow on it, just attach a red bow to it and help it, or have your turtle. So they say that you encourage wealth to your front door with a frog, and you stop the wealth going out straight away from the back door with a turtle. So if you're losing things, so that they both have to face inwards. So your frog is bringing the wealth in, and the turtle is stopping it just flowing out. And if you're having a blockage in your wealth and your wealth corner, introduce a turtle to the back left-hand innermost area of your house. So if you're standing at your front door, where is the back left spot of your house? And have a turtle facing inwards at that point. And it can help to retain some of that financial abundance.
There are so many interesting facts out there. You know, we can look at feng shui, we can look at astrology, we can look at numerology, we can look at our emotions and look at our bodies and what are our bodies telling us about the emotions that we're holding on to.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Absolutely. And something will fit, like try one or have a go at one and you go, oh, didn't do much for me. Well, that's okay. You just go, I had a go at that. Now what's next? And don't discount something, and something might come into your head and you go, oh, that's ridiculous. Let's step back and go, is it ridiculous? Or could that be helpful? You know, start to be open to guidance, because that's where the trust comes in. When you start to be open to messages and intuition, it can be very, very helpful.
Indeed. Well, Marnie,
thank
you so much
That's
for being here.
My pleasure.
We will let our audience know today that next month you're on with Annette, because Annette, God bless her, is stepping in my place. And so
you have an abundant and wonderful holiday.
Thank you. I do look forward to being back with you in June.
Thank you.
And to our audience, I will be with Elaine Ann next week. So please enjoy, bring joy into your lives, bring laughter into your lives. I quite often find myself doing something silly, and fortunately I can most of the time laugh rather than going into the other side.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Marnie.
My pleasure. Have an awesome month. And as I said, reach out if anyone wants any information. Just reach out to either of us. We will get the message.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, especially those like Ingrid who joined in the conversation. We really appreciate it.